The Child Protection Center is a dedicated nonprofit. We've been providing services for the past 34 years, working in the prevention, intervention, and treatment of child abuse. We work as part of the child welfare system that includes law enforcement, the state attorney, and the Department of Children and Families. And you are crucial to our success, ensuring that we have the resources necessary to help those children that come to us as child victims and take them from a child victim to a child survivor. But we don't want them just to survive, we want them to thrive. And that's where your support is crucial to our success in helping the children and families impacted by the traumas of abuse.
For me as sheriff, touring the facility 3 years ago to really gain an understanding of the importance of the Child Protection Center to law enforcement and to the employees that do these cases within the sheriff's office, and how important this organization is to them. And I love children, I have children, and I have a deep heart for children. So it tears at me to know that this could happen to children. They could be mistreated, abused, but to have this facility here, knowing that the deputies and the people investigating these cases have somewhere where they can work with collaboratively, knowing that there's professional mental health counselors, therapists, case managers, that they are just here to do their job from a law enforcement perspective, but we're all human, and we want to make sure that at the end of the day the child is taken care of properly and given that opportunity to get back on his or her feet and to be treated as they should be treated as a child. This organization is highly important, not just for the detectives to have what they need to get the information so a case can be prosecuted or investigated properly, but that the detectives who work under the sheriff's office, under me, are healthy emotionally, so that they know that the child is in good hands when they're done doing their investigations, and they have somewhere to leave the child and know that the child's going to be safe, secure, and have that opportunity to become, have the therapy and the case management that they need to be able to become a child again. It's important for me that my employees are emotionally on solid ground. Having this here for them helps keep them focused on what their real job is, to, if anybody violated a child or committed a crime against a child, that they can investigate it properly and make sure that they're charged accordingly and prosecuted accordingly. And at the end of the day, the child is in good hands, has a therapist, has emotional counseling, and has somewhere safe to be when those deputies and investigators leave them.
At the Child Protection Center, we are the experts, and we work with law enforcement in the front end of these cases, conducting what's called a forensic interview, where we're sitting with children and finding out the details, the who, the what, the number of times, what did it look like, feel like, even taste like, all those crucial law enforcement information that's necessary for a criminal aspect of a case.
I think one of the most important things I wanted to say today was how working these cases can be very emotional on not only the children, their guardians, their parents, but on the child protection team staff, on law enforcement, on the prosecutors, and on the Department of Children and Families. Having to work a criminal investigation while dealing with the emotional pain of what the child or the children in the case are going through is very difficult. One of the things that I found over working these cases for 10 years that really assisted me was I knew that when I left a child here at the Child Protection Center and I walked back out those doors, I knew that I didn't have to worry about that child. I knew that that child was being taken care of, that child's needs were being met, and I knew that that child was now on a road to a better recovery. It gave me the time, the opportunity to be able to go out and basically solve the cases and battle child abuse without having all that baggage following behind me. I'm a detective with the Sarasota Sheriff's Office. I have been working the Special Victims Unit for over 10 years. The Special Victims Unit deals exclusively with crimes against children. The crimes can involve sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect, homicide, suspicious deaths, anything to do with a child under the age of 16. Our unit will deal with that. I have seen everything on the scale a slap in the face to a child not getting lunch one day, to horrific homicides of children. It's a very difficult job to work. You have to have a passion, you have to have a desire, you have to want to be able to do this. Being a detective with the Special Victims Unit is not something that I would say that you would do for fun or do for the money aspect of it. You definitely have to want to do it. This is a job that's going to put you through a lot of emotions. It's going to put you through trials. It's going to push you to your limits. If you don't like that, this is not a good job for you. This is something where you could start with a child one day and you have to go all the way through until the end. If I get a call from a school stating that a child had made some inappropriate comment about maybe being touched at home or something along these lines, usually a DCF investigator will get involved, will call us. We will meet at the Child Protection Center. That child will come in through the front doors with the DCF investigator. They don't usually meet me. Meeting law enforcement at a time can be very scary for a child, especially if they think they've said something wrong. All of a sudden they're removed from the school and they're a little concerned. They will meet with one of the forensic interviewers here at the center. And these girls are fabulous. And I should apologize, there is one young man that works here as an interviewer. They will bring them into a child-friendly room and they will sit down with that child, and they have a process that they go through for interviewing. This isn't, part of my job is not just to put bad guys away in jail. It really isn't. These kids are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. These kids have to live with what is going on in their lives. If we can't, as a community, help these children out now, where are they going to be when they're 16, 17, and 18? So it's very important that we get all the help we can, not just from walking in the door, having the child seen and interviewed, having them determine what needs that child has, and then they follow through. And there's all different types of programs that they can follow through with here at the Child Protection Center.
After this Child Protection Center provides services, whether it's those front-end intervention services with medicals, interviews, or it's the therapy, oftentimes we're going to be asked to testify in court. These cases do go to criminal court, and we work with the state attorney's office. One of the things that we're asked to do is to defend the services that we provide and the interviews to withstand that judicial scrutiny for successful prosecution in these cases.
Hello, my name is Ed Bronsky and I'm the State Attorney for the 12th Judicial Circuit, and I am here to tell you that the Child Protection Center is an invaluable asset and a resource to our community and to the prosecutors at the State Attorney's Office. I think every day the Child Protection Center makes a significant difference in our community and makes a direct impact in protecting our community, our children, and our families, and is a valuable asset to law enforcement and to prosecutors in the courtroom. We rely very heavily on their expertise and their assistance in working with children that have been victimized by sexual or physical abuse, and they're partners that we work with very closely alongside with law enforcement. If it weren't for the valuable services that the Child Protection Center offers prosecutors in the courtroom, prosecutions would be significantly thwarted. The Child Protection Center also helps provide very valuable medical expertise and testimony that is very valuable, and not only so that a jury hears the testimony and the accounts of the child as to what occurred to the child, but it's very important for jury members and for the court to hear and understand the physical impacts and the medical evidence that oftentimes goes hand in hand with a criminal prosecution. In order for children to be adequately prepared to testify and give meaningful testimony in the courtroom, the Child Protection Center has been very valuable in assisting us to make sure that the children have been counseled, that the family members have been counseled and have had therapy in order to be prepared for what they have gone through, the physical or sexual abuse that they've suffered, as well as being prepared with having to confront the person that's abused them, and be able to meaningfully be able to convey that information to a jury so that a jury can receive that information and make a proper and lawful decision in rendering a verdict. It's a very traumatic event for these children, and they need to be able to have a resource and an outlet and an ability to be able to cope with that and understand that, and the Child Protection Center does that. They help these children to be emotionally prepared to understand that what they did and what occurred to them is not their fault, and that we're here working alongside with them, making sure that we do everything that we can to restore, rehabilitate, and empower that child to know that we're here to support them and we're going to prevent anything from happening to them again so that they can flourish, prosper, and be happy and thrive in our community.
Our personal safety and community awareness program is our prevention program. This is a program that is working very hard to educate and equip our community and our children on how to identify abuse and how to respond when abuse happens and impacts their lives. This program works throughout the Sarasota County schools and our community at large to educate them through prevention workshops and trainings on a variety of topics, including bullying, personal safety, internet safety, all key targets or key issues that we see today on a daily basis. One of the most frequent questions that I'm asked from the community is, aren't you a state-run organization? And they're surprised when I tell them, no, we're a nonprofit, very much dependent on the philanthropy, grant writing, and you, the general public, to help support our programs, to help ensure that we have the counseling services available for those children impacted by abuse, that we have the dollars available for the medical exams to see that child who's been alleged to be physically and sexually abused, that we have the dollars available to go to the schools, to do our prevention workshops, to prevent abuse altogether. And we need the support for supervised visitation, to be able to see these kids, to interact with their parent in a supervised, safe setting. We are very much dependent on our community, our local foundations, to ensure that we have those needs just to sustain. The Child Protection Center is the name of the organization. Under the umbrella of the Child Protection Center are our 5 core programs. The Child Protection Team, that is our largest program that interacts with law enforcement and DCF on the front end of child abuse cases. This is a program, the head of the team is a medical doctor, and we receive in this community between 3,000 and 3,500 abuse reports annually, and the Child Protection Team services assist the investigation process. When we look at the numbers of child abuse, we know those numbers are huge nationally, more than 3+ million reports annually. But I'm often asked, what does that mean locally? And the reality is that our children are being abused right here in our own backyard. And we receive, on an average basis, between 3,000 and 3,500 abuse reports right here. What does that mean? We know that 1 in 4 girls are victims of child sexual abuse, 1 in 6 boys. We know that 1 in 5 are solicited online on the computer. And it just emphasizes the need for our services and programs. When I explained that Florida is now the 2nd deadliest state for children, the 2nd deadliest, they're amazed. And as a parent, as a father, as a leader in this community, that's unacceptable. We have to do better, we have to do more, and this is where we need your help to be able to sustain and improve so that we're not the 2nd deadliest state, that we're here for our children to have those resources that are available.
My job as the prosecutor is to go into the courtroom and convince a jury that this very horrible act that happened in secret, with the only witness being a child, that it happened, and I have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's very difficult. And so, and you think about calling a child witness to the stand into a courtroom. What we ask the children to do is they have to come in to court and they have to swear to take an oath, and they have to describe this very private, very embarrassing invasion of their privacy, and they have to describe that in a courtroom in front of a judge, in front of bailiffs, in front of the clerk, in front of sometimes an audience, and in front of the person who did that to them. And a lot of times that's someone that they loved very much. It can be daddy, it can be grandpa, it can be uncle, it can be maybe the only person that's ever shown them love in their life. And it's a very difficult task to ask children to do that. Sometimes this litigation occurs well after the event, years after the event. So the child protection team helps with something called a forensic interview. And that is a recorded interview that occurs when the child, close in time to when the child first reports the abuse. And it happens in a child-friendly environment where the child is able to open up. The child has someone sitting across from them at their same level and asking non-leading questions and in a way that is comfortable for them, opposed to what they have to go through in the courtroom. And so we are able to show those interviews to the jury. And when the jurors have to determine whether or not this act occurred, it is so powerful for them to be able to see the child open up when they don't have the pressures of the courtroom, and to hear the child describe exactly what happened to them in that moment when their innocence was taken away. And that powerful piece of evidence is often something that I not only use to show to the jury, but argue to the jury in closing argument when I'm asking for a jury to convict someone of these very serious charges. Obviously, children who have been the victims of sexual abuse have a lot of psychological trauma that they have experienced because of the abuse, and sometimes their circumstances have changed where they've been removed from their home and their whole life has been turned upside down. And so what we do, we work with the Child Protection Center during the time that we prosecute the case, and it's so helpful that they are tending to the needs of the child. They provide therapy, they provide us insight into how the child is doing emotionally, and give us some tips on different ways to approach the child so that we can do it in a way that makes the child more comfortable. I have worked very closely with Dr. Gail Kelly on many occasions in order to do just that, and we have had the success of having the child open up and have the strength to talk about the abuse, whereas I am very sure that had the child not been coming to the Child Protection Center, that would not have happened. And so it's very comforting to the prosecutor, one, that the child is in good hands and that their emotional and psychological needs are being attended to during the time that we're prosecuting the case. And of course, it's very helpful to us when professionals can tell us the best way to handle such a delicate child. So working with Dr. Kelly and the Child Protection Team therapist has been extremely important to getting to successful conclusions to these cases. When I initially meet with the parents or guardians of child victims, I always encourage them to participate in the services that the Child Protection Center offers, because in my experience in putting children on the stand in trial, those who are receiving therapy and who are receiving services from the Child Protection Center are always in a better place mentally to tell the jury truthfully what happened. And they handle the whole process so much better when they have those professionals here whose job is to make sure that they are recovering from the sexual abuse and learning to deal with the feelings and the problems that causes them. So I always make sure to encourage parents and guardians to participate in these services, because it truly helps the child throughout the process. The most satisfying thing about getting a conviction in these cases is knowing that that person will never be able to hurt a child again. And that's something that the child feels, it's something that their parents or their guardians feel, and it's something that the Child Protection Team forensic investigator who has testified in the trial feels, and it is very satisfying to know that we have done something that will protect the community from a sexual predator. One of the best feelings in giving a closing argument when I'm trying to convince a jury to convict this person of a very serious crime is to look out in the audience and see a Child Protection Team member who has testified as an expert in the trial, and frequently I look out and lock eyes with Danielle Hughes or someone else that has testified and that has also developed a bond with the child victim in that case. And that is a very powerful moment for me as the prosecutor, and I believe for the child protection team witness as well.
At the Child Protection Center, we have 2 treatment programs: the Sexual Abuse Treatment Program, also known as SATP, and our Kid Kindness Program, KKP. These are our treatment components that we provide at the Child Protection Center. So this program serves children and families and siblings of verified victims of physical and sexual abuse. And our KKP program serves children that are sexually reactive. These are children that have acted out sexually and exhibit a lot of aggression to their peers. Another important program of the Child Protection Center is our Supervised Visitation Program. This is a program that when the court identifies the only way a parent or a caregiver can interact with their child is that it must be supervised, we provide that supervision in a safe environment. And this program utilizes our core group of volunteers that go through a training process to help us supervise these visits. This past year, this program provided over 720 supervised visits between parents and children. And this program is so important to help the children re-engage with their parent, their caregiver, in a healthy environment and re-establish healthy bonds. When that initial call is made to the hotline and the report is generated, it comes back to our community. And that really begins the process of our involvement with the Department of Children and Families. We work with them to schedule those services as the expert in identifying abuse, a medical exam, forensic interviews. It even could be a psychological assessment in high-risk cases. We also would meet with them to provide multidisciplinary staffing to discuss the difficult cases and what needs to happen next as a community to help keep these children safe and families together if at all possible.
The role of the investigator is to really go out and gather information and try to put it together and determine whether abuse or neglect has happened. And in many cases, we need to access some experts in the area, and that's where we come to the Child Protection Center for various services. As part of our investigation process, we often refer to experts in the field, and that's one of the ways we use the Child Protection Center. 2 of the most common reasons we would use the Child Protection Center is for forensic interviewing and medical exams. CPT also provides other services for us. We often ask for multidisciplinary staffing to be hosted at the Child Protection Center, and in that way we can bring together all of the professionals that are dealing with that family, as well as the CPT professionals who have either done forensic interviews already or had done medical exams, and bring their expertise to the table so that everybody is hearing the same information and we have the opportunity to make major decisions about the cases. We're very fortunate in Sarasota County that we have excellent working relationships with our law enforcement agencies, with our state attorney, as well as with the Child Protection Center. And the Child Protection Center may be the glue that keeps us all together.
Key to our success as an organization is the leadership and direction of our effective board of directors. And we're very fortunate to have a dedicated board that has great vision and leadership. And key to that is Gracie McGillicuddy as our board chair. She has been our long-term visionary and leader for many, many years, and her leadership has benefited not only this organization, but the children of this community and throughout the state.
I got involved with the Child Protection Center way back when, 26 years ago. It happened to be on Main Street then, and then it moved over to the Human Services Center for 17 years. And I got involved with the Child Protection Center because I read this absolutely horrendous case of child abuse in 1986. This poor little toddler, 18 months old, was absolutely brutally abused. And child abuse is the leading cause of death of children 4 and under. I've been with the Child Protection Center now for 26 years as a volunteer, And I have to tell you, I've watched the evolution of this amazing organization. And it wasn't really until we got here to 720 Orange Avenue where all of a sudden people are asking, what do you do in that building? And we fight child abuse. And child abuse has been a secret. It's a well-kept secret. We can't fix a problem if we don't know that it exists. And I am absolutely, this is the most amazing organization, and we're so fortunate. We partner with so many different groups of people that all have the same mission in mind, to end the cycle of child abuse and help and treat those children and families that have been afflicted by this horrible cycle of abuse. I don't understand. I don't understand anyone doing that to a child. I understand being so frustrated that you want to scream, but I don't understand being so frustrated that you would hurt your child. Not every child is going to have an idyllic lifestyle, but they should be safe, they should be nurtured, they should be protected by the people that are supposed to care about them the most. And that's why I'm here. And I'm working with the best group of people and the best organization in the world to make that dream come true.
At the Child Protection Center, we couldn't do what we do if we didn't truly believe we make a difference in the lives of children. And we have been able to sustain staff over long periods of time because of that belief and the direction of the staff and the board of directors and the support of you. And I just want to thank you for making a difference in the lives of the children and families that we serve.